All right, hello, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to today's weekly market check-in with myself, Greta Wall. I'm your host, and I'm joined by Derrick Oldensmith, the leader of T3 Live's ProDesk virtual trading floor and a professional prop trader with T3 Trading Group. Before we get into our discussion today, let's quickly take a look. This is the current positions Derrick is holding as of 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time today. Again, he is a professional prop trader with T3 Trading Group. So for disclosure purposes, this is what he's currently trading. Okay, Derrick, happy Monday. How is your day going so far?
It's been a really wild one. I'm up some money. So far, so good. Did really, really well with Palantir short. I got some other things that are not quite as good. I just a little bit before we started chatting took like a pretty big Tesla short, which I'm going to be keeping tight. See if I can get this thing to roll through this like 455, 456 area. I might be able to get a bigger pullback on that. I'm long MSTR today. You know, I came out to Idaho and I got real crazy and went long MicroStrategy. Who would have thought? Usually, not my cup of tea, that stock.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
money's money and the technical chart pattern looks good. So all is well on my end.
All right, good stuff. All right, Palantir, you had a good short. I know Palantir's been a struggle for you in the past, was it like month? You were really battling the stock short. You had, a thought about fraud and all of that with the stock. So talk about your most recent short and the success you've seen and how you managed. Are you out of that original position where you were really battling it, or how are things going there?
So I did really, really well with Palantir into that. I think we spoke about it last week, that like really big day 3 gap up where we shorted big up here very early pre-market. I think I was shorting even above the high of the day on that. Did really well with it. Got a pretty big pullback off that, which was nice, but I was never able to get a close below this 80 MA that's just been riding up on this daily chart. It's been very impressive, the Palantir strength. But my thought process last week was that they were just going to continue to hold this thing up a little more into the NASDAQ edition. So we saw on Friday late evening when the NASDAQ did its kind of shuffling out of some companies to add in new companies. They got rid of SMCI as an example. They added Palantir, MicroStrategy, and AXON. So for Palantir, that was like very widely telegraphed. Pretty much everybody knew that this was going to happen. They bought it up very heavily into the last hour yesterday. And at one point this morning, they gapped it up decently as well and then really ran it off the open. My expectation was that this was going to be a little bit of a sell the news type of an event. So I was shorting pretty heavily today pre-market and then into this opening up move when it extended up in the 5-minute. I got a couple great prices on a short, on like a large short. I shorted 77.73, I think, on size. 77.82 was the high. So a little bit lucky on the exact pricing there, but caught this big pullback. The question is, can Palantir close below this 80 MA on the daily chart for the first time? If it can close below, it traded below today. It traded below again one day last week. If it can actually close below, then maybe the structure of the technicals is beginning to change and I can get finally a little bit of a deeper pullback. So I think today's close in Palantir is really important, but broadly, I think that the NASDAQ edition was a sell the news event. And I also think that we're going to start seeing a lot more insider selling coming back into the stock. From my research, it looks like there were some insiders, because they have to file ahead of time when they want to sell, file in such a way that it seemed like it was maybe getting timed with a potential NASDAQ addition, maybe. So we'll see what happens and see how it closes today. But so far, so good.
Good stuff. When it comes to a stock like this, where you at one point you were shorting and the stock was definitely going against you, how do you shake off a trade like that and approach it with clear eyes, clear mind, to have a successful trade like you've had in the past few sessions?
I think a lot of that is like trading psychology related and experience related. It takes a lot at this point to really shake me up when it comes to a trade. I was down a lot of money at one point on that big day when it gapped up to above $80 because I was already swinging it. was already swinging it short, had some size. It gapped up big. That's the type of moment where a more unexperienced trader can become less objective about the actual chart and the extension and everything, and more just focused on their P&L and freak out and liquidate their position. I'd like to think I've been doing this too long now for that to be me. I'm going to trade the stock. I'm going to trade the chart. So even though I was down a lot at that point, I said, this is the spot. This is the spot where I need to actually size up and short it. So despite the amount of money that I was down, I just sized up in a really big way on that day, and I did well with it. I think that I can trade well enough to manage most positions, even if they're against me, where I can mitigate that loss and potentially become profitable with it.
All right, good stuff. All right, you said you are shorting Tesla today. Maybe let's take a look at the Tesla chart, and what are you seeing that says short?
Sure. So it's once again just this extension phenomenon. I might be a little bit early here in Tesla. So I've got like a core position that's a little bit smaller that I'm going to stick with, that I'm going to continue to build into as it goes against me. But into this upper like 450 area, 460 area that it's trading in right now, I sized up a bit. I was able to cover a little bit of that in this kind of brief pullback on this 460. And on the bigger size, I'll probably have to stop myself out on new highs. I need this thing to break back below like 455 to 456. If it can do that, I'll probably get paid much better on the trade. So that's kind of what I'm looking for technically right now. If we can get back below that, I'm probably going to get a much deeper correction that begins to correct this daily chart. This daily chart move has been incredible. To remind everyone, and I always think it's important to remind everyone this, even as I'm short, the easy money was to be long Tesla. We had called out a very simple breakout trade back here on December 5th for the 360 breakout. Beautiful bullish wedge into that 360. You could have bought through 360 that day versus the opening low for about 50 cents worth of risk. And at this point, you could be $100 in the money for 50 cents worth of risk on a simple, straightforward breakout. Literally like the first trade that I would teach to a brand new entry-level trader who's never traded before is the specifics of how to do that breakout. 50 cents risk in Tesla is extremely small. I mean, just a phenomenal trade. Now at this point though, on day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like day 8, maybe you could argue that on 12/12, a couple trading sessions ago, the count resets because it was a little bit of a negative day. It wasn't even a pullback to the ADMA. It was barely a negative day at all, but it was a negative day. So you could argue that it's a day, whatever I just said, day 8. It's really kind of more of a day 2 though, because of that little rest day. So I'm recognizing that my short here could be a little bit early. In my more ideal like trading setup would be if the stock closes strong today and then gaps up again tomorrow. That would be one that's the trade that's paid so consistently these last couple months, is when you get like 2, 3 big up days in a row and then a really big gap up after that. Again, that's exactly the pattern we were just looking at with Palantir. 2 big up days in a row, massive gap up on the day 3 with Tesla. If we could get 2 big up days in a row and a massive gap up on day 3, that would be the trade that gets me really excited. But at this point, as we come into this 560 area, the 80 EMA is down at 414, the 21 EMA is down at 374. So I'm really looking for a move down to this 21 EMA is kind of how I'm managing the position at this point, at least my bigger picture position. And then the additional size I just took in this 460 was based on a combination of factors. There was a huge buyer that I was able to identify in the level 2 that was really driving this thing up the entire way. And he or she was buying on a very unusual exchange that I don't typically see used that often, MIAX. And that buyer kind of ran out, and I haven't really seen him or her appear again since this 11:25 a.m. high. The stock did manage to consolidate on the moving averages. That buyer is not the only buyer that's out there, and break to a new high. But that break on that new high through that 460, there was no real, I feel like, conviction on it. The strength that drove this uptrend intraday here from this pivot low at 436 to this pivot high at 459, $23 up move, didn't come back in on this new high. So if the main buyer that I was looking at that was driving this thing up is gone. And they're not pushing it higher in the same way anymore. That was just something that I was eyeing to potentially size up bigger on the short. But now I actually need some downside levels to break that will begin to create a feedback cycle of selling to come into the stock. If you can break some support levels, some of the longs will start to get stopped out. It'll probably bring in some more momentum shorts, and then I can actually get the bigger push. Again, the area I think I needed to break is like 455 on the downside. So I'm recognizing it's a counter trend trade. I'm covering fairly aggressive above 455, but if I can get a break at 455, then I'm going to become a lot more conservative in how fast I cover to look for a bigger move on some of the size that I have and try to make this short a really good risk reward. And if I'm wrong and this underlying bid that's here with these moving averages and plus a really strong market causes it to break new highs, then I probably need to size down and reassess.
You talk about how you were looking at the level 2 to, figure out the dynamics of the trade today. How do you explain a little bit more how you use the level 2 alongside the technicals on a chart in your day-to-day trading?
I wouldn't say I use it in my day-to-day trading anymore, to be totally honest.
So today was an abnormal thing for you.
It's kind of special situations now for me to really watch the level 2. I think that understanding technicals and charts is significantly more important in the modern age of trading than trying to identify buyers and sellers in the level 2. The execution brokers and traders that are out there working orders for large institutional firms are so much smarter than they ever were previously. If we go back 10 plus years ago, you could make a living just off of how bad institutional execution traders actually were in working institutional orders. And these days, it's almost entirely algorithmic that's doing that. It's not really human beings that are doing it. And the algorithms have evolved in such a way where they are really sophisticated, and they want to be that way so that day traders don't come in and pick them off. There are still certain situations though where the level 2 can be important. Sometimes it's these big up days like this. If you can identify where that buyer is coming from, that's really important information. Again, seeing it on an unusual exchange that was coming in and it was like a refreshing buyer. And then if he got hit a lot, he would pull back, but then come in at a lower price. And then if the stock moved higher, come back in a higher price. That's someone who knows what they're doing, who was really working in order in Tesla today. But haven't seen that buyer come in on that exchange again since. So, and the entire profile of the stock changed once that was gone as well. So certain situations, this happened to be one. Trading earnings can be another situation where recognizing the level 2 in the tape can be really important. I find that the tape trades much more pure after hours than it does during the day. Sometimes in new situations, and that's really about it.
All right. NVIDIA, the former star of the stock market in 2024, is officially, or might have jumped back up a little bit, but officially hit correction territory today, down 10% from the last record close. What are your thoughts about NVIDIA here after the year we've had? And now that, Tesla is more the star of the show when it comes to the market, NVIDIA has kind of been on the back burner.
We're getting that Tesla rollover right now. Greta, let's see if we can break through this 455. What are we talking about? NVIDIA?
NVIDIA. Everyone, Derrick is a real trader, and he trades while we do these things. So
yeah, I covered some Tesla while you were asking me about the NVIDIA position, but I need that Tesla to break that 455.
So yeah, NVIDIA in correction territory as of today. What was the star of the show in 2024? NVIDIA was the market, and that has definitely changed in the past month. So NVIDIA in correction territory. What are your thoughts today?
So the profile of the stock has changed. The technicals are not as bullish as they were. You have this lower high that came in on December 5th. I was buying it, and some members of my team that I work with are buying it on November 27th. Caught this move higher. I thought if this thing could get above 142, it could go back after highs. It gave a really nice move here, but then it failed there, created a lower high. And then today, even though I didn't personally take it, we actually called for this to be a potential short setup versus like 135 at the open today. And that worked really well. It's breaking more support levels today. It's incredible that it's doing it with the Qs being as strong as they are, the cues at this point right now, as we're talking, are hitting what I classify as extreme extension on like the smaller time frame of the daily chart. So that's why I started to short some TQQQ also just a little bit before we got on our meeting today. But it's incredible to see the relative weakness in NVIDIA. It's also incredible to see that the Qs are able to hold up as well as they have. But you've got right, exactly. But you got Apple that's been running. You got Amazon that's been running. You got Google that did the quantum computer whatever that's been on a tear ever since then. And it seems like there's been a little rotation with this AI trade from the picks and shovels, or the rails, as I like to call them, to the revenue producing companies on more like the software side. So that's why you're seeing some of these AI plays like an Amazon and a Google still trade well, but NVIDIA is getting a little bit hit here, and really under the surface, that's all money rotation.
An interesting comment I want to bring up from YouTube. He said, I wanted to short Tesla today, but options are too pricey. Trump cutting EV. I know you don't do a lot of options trading, and you are pure stock most of the time, pure equities. So instead of buying puts, you're shorting the actual stock. Why is that your preferred way to do things versus buying options? In a moment like this, options are expensive, the puts are expensive, but the stock, you can short. So what are your thoughts on
Sure. So Tesla just held that 455, 456 area as support, which I was afraid might happen. Now it's bouncing off a little bit there. So I was able to cover some in front of that support level. If it could break through it, it'll become a bigger trade, but we'll see if that happens or not. Not looking good with this little bounce here, unless we get a little lower high off of it. Yeah, I mean, if the option risk reward is no good because of the expense of the option, take the stock. And if you can't afford to take the stock, then become a prop trader where you'll be able to afford to take the stock. I mean, I don't really have anything else to say about that. I trade options, but I don't do a ton of buying options. I don't buy a lot of calls and puts. I sell puts sometimes when it's advantageous for me to do so. If you're a prop trader, whatever's in your account, you can get leverage at 20x for day trading and 8x for overnight positions on the equity side. So it just, I think it makes it much more advantageous than trading options for directional moves. So that's why I do it. And if the person is interested in that, I would have them reach out to T3 to learn more.
Yeah. All right. We are 2 days away from the final Fed meeting of 2024. It's been a year of rate hikes and rate cuts all within 1 year. Expecting another rate cut. The market's pretty unanimous on we're getting a rate cut. The focus, of course, is on the language around that rate cut and the future plans for rates. What are your expectations on how the market feels about this week's rate cut being the last one of 2024?
Yeah, so it's fully priced in. I think I saw this morning a 95% probability of the Fed cut happening, and I never thought for a second that the Fed cut wasn't happening, to be totally honest. But as we got through a bunch of these economic numbers last week, like the CPI, it just further confirmed things. So like you said, it's about the future. And I wouldn't be surprised if they indicate that they want to take a little bit more of a pause as we go into 2025 to get more data, to make sure that the economy and the inflation situation is staying good. They cut by a full percentage point at this point, so I think that makes sense as well. The market might not like it though, because I think the market at this point is still pricing in a lot of cuts for 2025, and if they announce that they're slowing down or indicating in some way that they're going to be more data dependent, then there might be a little bit of a problem there.
All right, good stuff. All right, so we have, what is it? We have 14 days, 15 days left in the year. And then what is that, like 2 weekends, couple holidays, so probably like 12 or 11 more trading days in the year, I think. We're coming up on Santa Claus rally territory, end of the year, all of this stuff, and then January effect happening also, in the new year. What are your expectations as a trader as we head into these final 2 weeks of the year?
Yeah, I'm still a bull. The seasonality has been bullish. The flow is bullish. everything at this point continues to be bullish. The technicals are bullish. We did see a little bit of a breadth drop off in the last 2 weeks. If you look at like the SPY versus the equal weighted S&P, it hasn't been trading as well. If you look at the IWM versus the Qs, it hasn't been trading well. But I've never felt that bad breadth as an indicator of it's like a bearish technical indicator. I've never felt that way. The studies don't show that it is. As often as weakening breadth leads to a broader pullback, a lot of times it probably equally as often is the opposite, where the just the leaders are leading the market higher, and then eventually everything else decides to play catch up. So, we'll see what happens, but broadly, I'm still bullish until at least mid-January at this point. At mid-January, we get a little bit of a stop in some of the broader bull flow that's been forced to come into this market. And we can kind of see what positioning and the technicals look like at that point for if it makes sense to be more cautious. And I have gotten a little bit more cautious into this up move overall with the market, especially like I just said, the Qs are kind of hitting my measure of short-term extreme upside extension just as we're talking. So technically that tells me I should become a little bit cautious as well. But broadly, I'm a bull for the next month, for the rest of the December, for the first couple of weeks of January, and then we can reassess as we get closer to mid-January.
Okay, and we've talked about what you're currently doing. Palantir short, you're managing a Tesla short right now. What are some of the other setups in the market this week that you're eyeing as a trader?
Sure. So I'm in 23 positions right now. I think 4 of them are short at SOUN, Tesla, Palantir, the Qs. Everything else that means I've still got 19 longs on or so. So that just shows you the bullishness that I have. I do build out of those longs a little bit as the market moves up. And especially as we become more extended. But big trades for me the last couple of months have been trading some of these just crazy extension names when they start going wild. Like this SOUN today that I've done pretty well with, or I'm not in them right now, but I'm watching them really closely. Like this QUBT is having another really big day today. I see it just it pulled back like $1 or so from its high. What's the other one? RGTI. I was trading this last week. I did really well with it. Got out of that short position at $6. Now it's back to $9 to new highs again today. It's getting a little bit silly. If I can get those names to, it's the same pattern. It's that same extension pattern. It's been playing so well. If I can get those names to close well today and gap up tomorrow, I'm probably going to be looking to short them also. So that's been a lot of where some good money has come in. And yeah, that's it.
All right, good stuff. All right, everyone who's with us live, you can go. No, that's your screen. There's my screen. All right, you can go to t3live.com/DOLive to get Derrick's free ebook. Again, Derrick is a professional prop trader with T3 Trading Group. His ebook is about the benefits of that. He mentioned some of those benefits earlier, the leverage and the ability to buy equities because you have the money to do so with the leverage you get from the firm. So again, t3live.com/DOLive. Derrick and I will be away for the next 2 weeks because he's traveling, then I'm taking some time off for Christmas. So we'll be back in the new year. Everyone, good luck with your trading. Derrick, good luck with your trading as well. And see you in 2025.
Thanks, Greta. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. And I'll look forward to us crushing it in 2025.
All right. Have a great one. Bye.
See ya.